I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. Today we have Aimee with us, and she will be sharing her success story. Welcome, Aimee.
Hi.
How are you today?
Well, I'm doing great.
Awesome. So, Aimee, tell us, what was your life like prior to a meat-based diet? Were you having any health issues? What was the reason you decided to try carnivore?
Well, I have been on the carnivore diet for a little over 2 years. And prior to that, I was eating a ketogenic diet for the last 8 years. And at the end of the keto diet, I was basically on meat and fermented vegetables. So it wasn't a huge change for me.
And what were you having any issues? Were you having any health problems? Like, were you dealing with high blood pressure or needing to lose weight or anything like that?
Okay, so I've been on a health journey for like the last 45 years, maybe. I'm 66 now. I've had type 1 diabetes for 49 years. But for the past about 45 years, I've been on a health journey. I've read every nutrition book ever written, basically. And I've been working on my health. So it wasn't like I needed to lose weight. I was pretty healthy because I've always paid attention to my nutrition and my health, always hoping that I would be able to heal the type 1 diabetes, even though conventionally it's not seen as something that can be healed. When I first got out of college, I had had diabetes for 6 years when I got out of college, and I decided I would start reading about nutrition. And I came across all these stories of healing and healing every disease known to man. So I was convinced way back then that I could heal type 1 diabetes, and nobody was going to talk me out of it. When I was 42 years old, after I'd had diabetes for 25 years already, I found the low carb diet. I found Dr. Richard Bernstein's diabetes solution and the low carb diet, which limits your carbohydrates to 30 grams a day. So I went on that and did very well on it. And I was pretty healthy after going on it because at the time I had been extremely unhealthy, suffered a lot of complications of diabetes, but they got better immediately once I went low carb. So I knew the power of the low carb diet and the power of food. So prior to going carnivore, it was just part of my journey. I had been keto for 8 years. I knew that I needed to find the best way to be the healthiest that I could be. And my husband and I were traveling. We were on a trip to teach oil painting. He's an oil painter and I'm his assistant. And his model still at 66. But we started listening to carnivore podcasts, and we heard ShawnBaker's podcast with Joe Rogan, of course, like everybody else has. And we heard several other. We listened to Mikhaila Peterson, and he went carnivore right away while we were on the trip. I was a little nervous about going carnivore while I was traveling because I just wasn't sure I'd be able to manage it with the insulin, having to take insulin 5 times a day, measuring it with my food and all that kind of stuff. But I did start November 12th, the day we got home. So I can't really say that my health improved dramatically because I wasn't really sick. But I will say that I immediately was happier. I had much better energy and able to focus more. And I loved how I felt. It was more of an energetic thing, though, because I was so healthy already, even though I had type 1 diabetes and I was still on 5 shots a day. I still am on 5 shots a day. And I always thought that I would, if I ever got on a success story, that I would be talking about how I got off of insulin. But I'm not there yet.
Well, you know what? I admire your fight, because if anybody's gonna do it, it sounds like you are. So good for you. And it's okay if you can't. You're still doing great things for your health. So yay for you. Okay, so once you started going more meat-based, what did your food look like? How did you implement the diet? And like, how many times a day do you eat? What's a typical day like? And did you have any transitional issues when you first started?
Oh, very interesting. I'll say it right away. The transitional issue was I had diarrhea for 6 months solid. But that's how long it lasted, and now I'm fine. So that was the transition. I also had a lot of muscle cramps, and just basically I took potassium and magnesium for a while, and then I didn't, and then I drank more water, and I just tried different things. And I'll say that the thing about the carnivore diet is that it gives you this safe place to be while you do experiments on the way you're going to implement it. It's the perfect elimination diet. So for me, when I first started, I was eating, if it came from an animal, I ate it. I ate salami and cheese, and I drank my black coffee, and I never cheated on anything else, but I certainly ate a lot of cheese, a lot of dairy, a lot of butter, any kind of meat I could get, lots of bacon, eggs. I was having fun. And then back in July, I decided I really wanted to focus on healing as much as I could. So I went on an all ruminant diet, which was all beef and lamb and nothing else. No coffee, no butter, no eggs, nothing but beef and lamb. And I mean, I wasn't on a lot of insulin to begin with. I was only taking like maybe 12 units or 15 units, which isn't much. But I got it down to 8 units of insulin on the beef and lamb. But it was really hard to stay on it because I missed coffee and I missed eggs, mostly eggs and bacon. And so I wasn't healing it for 3 months. I was taking less insulin, but was I getting off of insulin? And that was the big quandary to me. I wasn't sure how much good I was doing. So I went back to more fun food. I started eating eggs and bacon again, and a variety and butter and cheese. And my insulin requirements did go back up to about 12 units of insulin, 10 to 12 units. And I have experimented a little bit further. I'm back off of coffee. And I think I just recently gave up bacon. Of course, today was my first day without bacon. But I think I was eating way too much, and my blood pressure was going up. Blood pressure and blood sugar are basically my 2 issues that I deal with. And I hear all these stories from carnivores on the success stories, how their blood pressure went way down dramatically right away. Well, mine didn't. And I do, I meditate, I do all kinds of things, and it'll go down a little bit, but not as far as what it really should be. So that's something I'm still working on. And I think that bacon may just be too cured or too salty, or I don't know, but that's the next thing I'm giving up. But I'm not going to make myself miserable. I bought some pork belly to replace it with. So, but it's interesting. I think I really enjoyed not taking as much insulin because it made me feel like I was at least progressing. So I think that I can't really make myself stop experimenting. So I'm just going to keep doing it.
Well, good for you, because that's the only way we really understand our bodies and what works for us, not somebody else. So
Right.
Good for you. I think that that's a very good thing that you're doing. And I'm glad that you now know that you can reduce your insulin depending on diet. That's very interesting. Okay, so you talked a little bit about some of the improvements that you did notice, but could you elaborate a little bit more about the positive things you've noticed since going carnivore? And did anything kind of shock you that you weren't expecting?
The first year I went carnivore, it really looked like my gray hair turned blonde. That was fun. It's in this light, it still looks pretty gray, but it's not as gray as it was before I started. I didn't expect to feel happier, but I do. And I wasn't depressed. I just feel like I have better energy. And I have energy to do stuff that I wouldn't want to do. I don't even know how to explain that. But I'm the one who jumps up to go get something that I might have asked somebody to do for me in the past. I just have more energy. And it's, like I said, I was pretty healthy and happy on the keto diet. But I feel more energetic and more confident. I don't know. My blood sugars are easier to manage. At first, on the carnivore diet, I had a lot of trouble because meat will cause your blood sugars to rise. And I just couldn't seem to match the insulin to the amount of rise that I got from the meat. And it took a lot longer than I thought it would to figure out. I've just recently, 2 years, and I finally think I've figured it out. That was very surprising to me. And there's a whole Facebook group of type 1 diabetic carnivores. That's what it's called. And we all talk to each other on that Facebook group. And it's great to have other type 1 diabetics to talk to that are also carnivores. It's an amazing experience. And they all looked like they were doing great. And I was like floundering. I just couldn't figure out how to match the insulin to the protein rise. And I have finally, I've always eaten 3 meals a day. I really like the social aspect of eating 3 meals a day. I never eat a lot at one time. Like I might eat 6 ounces, but I'm not going to eat a whole pound of steak. I just can't. I wouldn't be able to take enough insulin for it. So I eat smaller meals 3 times a day. And every now and then I'll skip a meal if I'm not hungry. I don't know if I answered your question though.
You did. You did great. Thank you. And Aimee, it's been a pleasure hearing your story. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, you are very welcome. It's my pleasure.
And thanks again, Aimee. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.